The concept of being human has been elevated to an almost sacred status in modern discourse, where moral and ethical frameworks often demand the protection and upliftment of all individuals, regardless of their circumstances, actions, or societal condition. However, when stripped of these idealized notions, it becomes evident that the designation of human is not an inherent or equal status, it is a social construct designed to create a sense of cohesion and moral uniformity, often detached from the true capabilities or values of different societies. Humanity as a social construct. The term human is not automatically linked to empathy, morality, or entitlement to protection or comfort. Just because an individual is biologically human does not automatically confer the same inherent worth or societal quality expected in modern society. This shift away from the romanticized ideal of humanity reveals that different societies or cultures are not on equal footing in terms of their ability to contribute to or sustain a stable global order. The human title is, instead, an aesthetic, a construct meant to maintain a sense of moral unity, but one that does not account for the inherent differences in the development, values, and capabilities of different societies. Immigrants and the perception of weakness. Immigrants from struggling nations may not see themselves as the victims or deserving populations that some parts of the world label them as. Rather, they may perceive host countries as weak, naive, or incapable of sustaining their own systems, seeing their acceptance as a sign of vulnerability, not compassion. These countries, in their willingness to absorb people from failing or conflict-ridden regions, are not seen as morally superior, but as societies that are willing to undermine their own security and stability for the sake of ideological comfort. This view reveals a hard truth: immigrants, especially from nations in crisis, may view the act of letting them in as a sign of weakness rather than an act of charity or empathy. The acceptance of immigration, especially when unchecked or poorly managed, is often painted by others as a reflection of moral superiority, but it can easily be viewed as an inability to uphold one's own borders and sovereignty, endangering the very society offering refuge. The aesthetic of human title. The application of the term human to people in societies that have not evolved or maintained the strength to sustain themselves is a moral and ideological construct meant to appease or pacify those trapped in a bubble of self-righteousness. The expectation that all humans should be treated equally, regardless of their society's stability, strength, or behavior, is a fantasy, a framework created to align with emotional ideals rather than logical or survival-based considerations. This makes the concept of human equality more about emotional appeasement than a reflection of objective reality. The appeal to a common humanity ignores the fundamental fact that some cultures or societies have proven themselves better equipped to thrive, adapt, and contribute to the broader world, while others have failed due to historical, economic, or political reasons. Therefore, treating all human societies equally in this context is unnatural, as it obscures the realities of societal collapse, dependence, and the capacity for survival. Survival and societal adaptation. Societies are not all equally valuable in terms of their capacity to sustain and evolve. To call all societies human in the same sense implies an equivalence that is, at best, misguided. Nations that have failed to sustain their systems or have descended into chaos do not deserve the same recognition or protection as those that have created stable, adaptable, and self-sufficient systems. This highlights that societies must earn their place in the global order through their own merit, rather than being propped up by external forces or moral constructs that ultimately undermine the stability of those that are strong. This shift in focus from abstract ideals of human equality to a more survival-driven logic acknowledges the fact that societies that cannot sustain themselves or contribute positively to the global order may not deserve the same moral consideration. The moral fantasy and its consequences. The underlying issue is that morality itself is a construct designed to maintain order and peace within societies. As societies become increasingly weak or self-destructive, applying these frameworks universally becomes impractical, if not suicidal. Society's adherence to moral frameworks, designed to support the human in every individual, ultimately becomes counterproductive when it preserves the weaker, unsustainable systems at the expense of the stronger. In reality, applying universal moral frameworks to global issues like immigration fails to account for the inherent differences between societies and their capacity to survive. This universal approach cannot adequately address the realities of societal strength, adaptability, and sustainability. In conclusion, morality and the human title are constructs that no longer serve the purpose of maintaining a stable global order. Societies must earn their place through strength, sustainability, and adaptability, rather than being propped up by ideals that fail to account for the realities of survival. These moral constructs, when applied to immigration or international relations, become counterproductive and hinder the ability of strong societies to protect their own stability. The societal systems that are most successful in sustaining themselves must not be expected to bear the burden of weaker, failing societies that cannot meet the same standards.